We're going ahead and going live on our live stream now, while we wait for the rest of the committee to attend. Everyone except for Chair Bean and Vice Chair Hoover have indicated that they plan to attend today. So we should have a quorum, and we should be seeing members McCullough, Clark, and Anderson shortly.
Hello.
Hi, Deb.
Hello.
All right. Well, Chair Rice, I see that Member Clark and Member McCullough have also joined. As I mentioned, Dr. Anderson should be joining, but I believe that you do have a quorum with the four of you.
Okay, we do have a quorum, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'll call the Kansas Post-Secondary Technical Education Authority Technical Program and Curriculum Committee meeting to order. First thing, we have approval of the minutes. The minutes were in the notes sent out. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move. This Ray.
Moved by Ray,
Natalie.
second by Natalie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Minutes approved. Moving on to the discussion agenda. Sharman, I think that's you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And thank you for stepping in for Chair Bean today. So our first program for review today, Washburn University Institute of Technology is proposing a medical assistant program with a technical certificate B of 38 credit hours. We have two practicum courses that are required within that program for the clinical time for a total of 180 hours, and existing clinical site partnerships are committed to that capacity. Washburn Tech indicated that the need for this program was identified due to it being a high demand occupation in the region and only one other institution currently offering the program. This is a program that has undergone the process of program alignment at the system level, and Washburn Tech indicated that they do intend to meet that alignment. They also included letters of support from several USDs because they will be offering this to high school students. This is a high demand occupation, and we have provided, as we typically do, the Kansas Department of Labor data as well as the Lightcast data. And I apologize, I see a note from Dr. Anderson, so we're getting her that Zoom link to make sure that she can join. We provided the Kansas Department of Labor data and the Lightcast data as we typically do here. And regarding the Perkins Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment, Washburn Tech explained that this was one of those programs where we have too few concentrators for the job openings, as there were 28 post-secondary concentrators for 150 annual openings during the last review. We have 3 letters of support for from local business and industry, and those supports include interviewing graduates, providing those clinical site opportunities, and serving on the advisory committee. We have 7 institutions that currently offer this program in the state, and we have your academic year 2024 KTIP data there. I would just note for academic year 2024, we had 25 graduates exiting and employed for the system versus the 1,292 Lightcast job openings over the past year. Washburn Tech also indicated that they connected with Highland Community College and Barton Community College to collaborate on this program. They're estimating the initial cost of the program at $98,790 in total. You'll see the breakdown of the various areas where they anticipate those costs. The main one being a little over $78,000 for faculty. And I need to check, but I know that they intended to join. I see several folks from Washburn Tech. They are on the call and would stand for questions.
Can you make the type a little bit larger on the narrative? Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Any questions, anyone? Do we need
David?
action?
David,
Go
this
ahead,
is
Deborah.
Ken, and I will abstain from voting on this one.
Do we need to approve, or it goes on to the full TEA, or what's the procedure here?
I see that Dr. Anderson has joined, so I do think that you have 5 of your members here, so you do still have a quorum to even with member McCulca abstaining.
So the motion is to approve and send on to the full TEA. Is that appropriate? I would entertain that motion.
Yeah, I'll make that motion and we'll put it on the consent agenda.
Second, Natalie Clark.
Moved and seconded. Are anyone opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Sharman again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So our second program for review today is from the Wichita State University Campus of Applied Sciences and Technology. They are proposing an electric power technology program for a technical certificate B of 42 credit hours and 63 credit hours for an associate of applied science. They have indicated too that their Associate of Applied Science students will complete 2 internships, totaling 270 hours, and they will collaborate with providers to ensure placement opportunities for that. This is not an aligned program. That's the only one that we're reviewing today that has not gone through the alignment process. WSU Tech explained that the need for this program emerged from direct outreach from several utility providers, including Evergy and the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities, seeking to create additional opportunities to recruit students. And they have included a letter of support from the Mays Career Academy USD, as they will be offering the program to high school students. This is an occupation that is high demand, high wage in the most recent Kansas Department of Labor data. And again, we've provided both the Department of Labor data for Kansas as well as the Lightcast job postings data for the last year. On the Perkins Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment, WSU Tech indicated that construction is an occupational area with insufficient concentrators to meet regional job demand, and this program fits within the construction area. They included 4 letters of support for from business and industry, and those supports include interviewing graduates for available positions, offering internships, and serving on the advisory committee. We have 3 institutions that currently offer this program based on SIP or program title. You will note in the academic year 2024 KTIP data that Kansas City, Kansas Community College has a slightly different SIP code for their program, and this program was new in academic 2025. So in 2025, so it does not yet have the KTIP data. For academic year 24, we had 65 graduates exiting and employed versus that Lightcast job opening postings this last year of 147. WSU Tech indicated that they collaborated with both Pratt Community College and Manhattan Area Technical College on the new program. They're estimating the initial cost of the proposed program at $207,000 total. The majority of that is $148,000 for equipment. We did receive a letter of opposition from Pratt Community College, and that letter, as well as the response from WSU Tech, was sent to the committee for review. And I do have the ability, I may be able to share those if we need to. I do believe we have both institutions on the line and would stand for questions.
Any questions from members of the committee?
Yeah, this is right. Who's representing WSU Tech?
Myself, Jesse Lane. I believe we also have Dr. Jennifer Seymour on, as well as Trish Schmidt. Both of them are vice presidents of the college.
Okay. The question I have is, you've had a collaboration with Pratt, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was there a MOU with Pratt or a contract?
Contract, no. MOU, I would have to go back and look. I know there was, in the beginning, there was. I don't know if there has been in continuing years, but we've been in discussion with Dr. Calvert over the last couple of years about our desire to add a program at WSU Tech. So they've been aware that this was something we wanted to do.
But to your knowledge, there's no memorandum of understanding in place?
That would preclude us from adding the program?
Well, I'm just curious as to what was the intent when you formed that relationship. Was there a timeline set for that to end?
No.
So it was open-ended.
Yes.
Okay, why the separation at this point?
Evergy approached us directly and asked us to start a program. So their territory extends from Wichita east to Missouri. So they were looking for a partner who was located in that area.
So, go ahead, Ray.
But what you're offering today, so this is a new program separate from, different than what your collaboration is with Pratt?
We're not, the program is Pratt's. It's just on our campus.
It is now, but what you're proposing is something different than that?
What we're proposing is that it would be our program,
That's what I'm asking.
that we would run it.
Okay. And Pratt would continue, maybe they can answer that question. Pratt would continue the program on their own?
In Pratt.
Yeah.
Yes, Pratt has no intention of discontinuing this program. It has been a premier program for us, and we have been with WSU Tech for 11 years or more. We do have the out of service area agreement that you had. It's not really an MOU, but certainly since Wichita is not in our service area, we do have the service area agreement that we sign each year. And I would add that we work with Evergy also, And I have Dr. Tina Doggett, our Dean of Technical Education, on with me as well. And I believe the number that she shared with me was that Evergy has 35 of our Pratt program students who went through the Wichita State Tech program hired, and they're looking to hire more.
That is correct.
Does Pratt also have agreements with other institutions? Seems to me, it's been 7 years since I've been involved, but seems to me that you were on some other campuses.
We do.
That is correct.
I'm sorry, Dr. Doggett, go ahead.
We have agreements, and we have locations at Coffeyville Community College, Scott City Community College as well.
With the loss of Wichita State, if this was to go forward, you still have a viable program and wouldn't drop it.
Absolutely not. We would still offer. The concern would be the program. We have started the program with the idea of coordination, not duplication. And this would be certainly duplicating a program instead of continued coordination. It divides resources. Significant resources, highly qualified faculty, industry, business and industry resources, instructor, the pipeline, the business and industry pipeline. It'd be a duplication rather than coordination.
Thank you.
This is Deb Mikulka. I was interested in a comment, if I'm reading this information correctly, we had 190 total concentrators on the chart on page, whatever page that is, 8. And then there's 147 unique listings according to Lightcast. And then we had the number of total graduates, the percentage for both Pratt and for Manhattan Area Technical College. We have a good number of students that are graduating and exiting and employing. Is that correct? I guess that's what it's saying here. Okay.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to add that this is one of those programs in technical education that there are quite a few that who don't graduate with an actual certificate or degree. They graduate, they go into the program, they get the training, and they are able to exit the program and work for the company once they've met a certain number of hours in the program. That speaks to certainly the program that Manhattan Tech, I'm sure, runs, but also Pratt Community College's program as well, that they are hired right out of the program and into the industry.
But they do have opportunities to finish online. We encourage them
Correct.
to continue through online education to complete their formal education as well as their training.
Okay. So, one of the reasons for a new program was Evergy asking for a program on the east side of the state, if I'm understanding correctly. And you have such a program in place with your coordinated agreement. Is that correct? Yeah, or you have one in Wichita, and then KCK, I assume it's new in 2025, so that's on east side, and that's ramping up. And then Manhattan Area Technical is kind of midway, so that's not necessarily as much in Evergy unless you count it toward the Topeka side, which you could, I guess. And then you said there's programs that you also offer in Coffeyville,
Correct.
as well as Scott City. Coffeyville hits the east side. So you've got the east side on the north and the east side on the south with programs that are, I assume we're considering those successful programs.
Yes.
Okay. And your numbers are good that you have. I'm trying to understand the need for another, that's not a duplication, as opposed to the coordination looks really strong, actually, from what I can see. So I'm trying to understand how we're not duplicating, or how we're going to serve. It looks like we're serving the numbers that we need to be serving, if I'm understanding those numbers correctly. So can someone maybe from Wichita tell me how this is not duplication?
We saw it as responding to a direct request from industry. So they approached us, asked us to start a program. And so that was, we went down the road of doing that. We do have very strong partnerships with the local school districts. So I do think we'll see an increased enrollment in high school students in the program if we were to take over the program, running the program, as opposed to what they currently have.
From Pratt's perspective, if additional enrollment is available for us, we would certainly be interested in visiting with WSU Tech about growing the enrollment through our program on their campuses. We'd certainly welcome that discussion if additional numbers are part of what Evergy is looking for.
Well, this is Ray. I'm curious on that statement about the high school. And this is a WSU Tech question. What keeps you, WSU Tech, from enrolling the high school students with the existing relationship and agreement with Pratt?
Well, nothing would keep a school from partnering with Pratt, but it's not our program. So it's not something that we're advertising. It's
So are you suggesting that you are being blocked from advertising this program?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all, but we don't advertise it on our website because it's not our program, it's Pratt's program.
Okay, maybe it's a missed opportunity on your part.
Sherman, can you show us the job posting data? Maybe I missed that.
The job posting data, let me see, we're
Page
back.
7.
Yes. And what I would also offer up to the group, because we have experienced a number of times where some of these partnerships have been in place, and then for any variety of reasons, it's determined by the local institution for their service area to make that transition and to start offering the program themselves. As far as KBOR policy, initially, every community college and technical college in their service area have the primary responsibility for meeting the needs of that particular service area. And then to also request other institutions to serve when they are unable to do so. So this is an example, perhaps a little more similar to what we previously discussed with CTech and Fort Scott last year. I'm just offering that up as well, because if WSU Tech begins offering the program, that's not actually duplicating the program.
Well, I was going to offer up. So if you look at the job postings for Sharman, I'm assuming the year, oh, you have it right there, December of 24 through December of 25, there was 147 jobs posted. They had to post them almost 3 times to get somebody employed. So it's a 3-to-1 odd. They have to put out 3 posts before they can get a qualified person. So then and I went back and I looked at the previous year too, there was 199 jobs posted. So then if we compare that, now scroll down to your K-tip, just think about that's what we need to fill. And if we look at our output, is our output 65 a year?
It was 65 graduates exiting and employed. And those numbers are for the entire state,
Mhm.
where we only have a handful of these programs being offered currently.
So the data would suggest that we aren't feeling the demand that is there. We need, it looks like about 80 more graduates a year to fill the current jobs being posted. So that is something to consider especially when we come into duplication. Think of nursing. We have a very high demand in nursing. We aren't filling it. So adding another program makes sense because we need to fill those jobs. You could look at it the same way, but it also could dilute another program. So those are kind of the things we have to consider.
And I would reiterate that we would welcome any program expansion or enrollment expansion. PCC does not set the enrollment cap for the enrollment at the WSU Tech campus. WSU Tech sets our enrollment cap, and PCC is only able to fill the enrollment to what WSU Tech allows us to fill it at. So if we would welcome the opportunity to collaborate with WSU Tech and expand that program even further. As we have done, and notably here at the PCC campus recently by opening a new facility on our campus last year. We noted a need for more enrollment and industry needs, and we opened a brand new facility here on campus that could take quite a few more enrollments.
I found the original MOU. There isn't anything in here about an enrollment cap, and no one has ever talked to me about an enrollment cap for Pratt. So I'm not sure. I don't know where that misunderstanding, I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that occurred either, but that cap has been in place for some time. I think it may have to do with the facility itself and just the space in the classroom.
I'd like to add, we're looking at information as far as current job information and demand. And part of Evergy reaching out to us, and from my understanding, I don't want to speak for them, but as we see, we're going to see a lot of infrastructure happening in the state of Kansas through a lot of large projects. And it appears that the demand for infrastructure is going to continue to grow. If I am, trying to interpret, their request is opportunity to have an additional partner that can continue to expand. We would obviously recruit students from our area. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for us to use our resources to recruit students to a program like this. So I think there's additional growth opportunity, and I don't foresee this being a takeaway from any program, but a growth for Evergy, and that's kind of the why their push is seeing that coming down the road. We're not currently fulfilling the need from what we're being told, and needing a growth of this job pipeline.
Is this, I spent a lot of time with Dodge City's lineman program. So do you do poles and all that stuff with this program?
Correct.
And so they have to know how to climb poles. So is there a pole climbing facility that Pratt has at WSU?
Yes.
Correct.
That they've invested in?
Yes, there is a pole farm on the
Pole
city
farm,
center.
that's it.
Mm-hmm. There is.
Okay. Well, I do recognize we need to be addressing energy needs, very much so. I'm also seeing what's happening at the state legislature with programming and funding. And so I'm trying to figure out how we as a state are trying to hear how community and technical colleges are looking at what we're doing as a state and how we're maximizing the use of resources and collaborative effort, frankly. And that's where I just have questions. I have no doubt we need to increase capacity. And if it starts with the high school programs, then that needs to get figured out 100%. And we need to have them to the pathways that we can get them trained, because I know it was hard to train in this field, and it's a hard field for people. It's a good field, but it's hard to keep going on sometimes with the physical needs of the job. And so I'm kind of just questioning how do we meet those needs, and how do we best direct resources.
Is it a time factor? This is Natalie Clark. If you two could get together and work out if there was any misunderstanding, or do you feel that it needs to be moved forward with a decision today so that it could go to the TEA?
I think Pratt would be very willing to meet and see what we could do to work out additional enrollment options and to clarify what we perceive as an enrollment cap. I think the time factor would be right now our out of service area agreement expires upon completion of the spring semester, which means we will not be allowed to enroll students in Wichita Tech without their signing another out of district approval.
Yeah, the time factor is definitely one to consider. We usually open enrollment for fall, as Pratt does, I'm sure, in March or April. And then once we get through the TEA, there's the full Board of Regents, and then we have to have HLC approval and Department of Education approval, which, because of the downsizing there, has been taking 6 to 8 months. So it's a long process.
And will we be having a TEA meeting in February?
Yes, I believe we should be, yes.
I have, lots of questions. I understand the duplication thing, used to be part of that, and that's very real. But at the same time, with a company like Evergy, you want to try to meet their needs, and I have questions about the high school enrollment, why that hadn't been taken advantage of earlier. And I don't know, in some of the areas this direction, a certain percentage of your students are going to go into those technical programs. So if you approve this for Wichita State Tech and then they recruit high school students, are you going to dilute the numbers in your other programs? Or are these going to be additional students from high school so will go into this program? You have all those kind of questions, I think. And I can see both sides of this, and I don't know what the other members of the committee think.
Well, this is Ray. I would like to make a motion that we table this request and that WSU Tech and Pratt go back to the table and explore resolving some of the issues that have come to our attention this afternoon.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second it. This is Deb.
Second by Member Makaka.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Any clarification needed for Pratt or WSU Tech?
I think, yes, I do have a clarification. What is the goal of the meeting between us and Pratt? Are you basically telling us that you won't approve a program for us and we need to work with Pratt to continue their program?
I think it's just exactly what I said. You go back to the table, the concerns, issues that were brought forward this afternoon, and you see if you can come to an understanding.
This is Trish Schmidt. I'm not sure what understanding you're supposed to come to. The MOU will end at the end of the academic year. They have known for almost a year and a half this was going to end. Again, I'm a little confused about what you're hoping we can resolve. Right now, we don't offer these students anything. We believe we can.
I guess the big thing for me would be if you can get together and figure out a way to grow the enrollment on the WSU Tech campus with Pratt's program.
So you want us to agree to extend the out of district. That is what you're hoping this would happen. That you would extend the out of district. Agree.
I don't know that, just to jump in here, I think that is a decision that Wichita would have to make, WSU would have to make, is that whether they were willing to work to collaboratively expand the program as you've identified it needed to be expanded. From what is said is that the program will basically be the same program. And the question is, can the collaboration that you've had continue, and will that continued collaboration meet the identified needs of Evergy and the east side of the state? I'm on the east side of the state, so I'm a big fan of getting east side of the state programs going. But can you work together that would take advantage of the services that in the established relationship you have, or is that not possible? And that would tell us, one, why there are costs, why it would tell us how you can or can't work together and how those programs could continue or not.
No other questions? Let's move on to the next agenda item.
All right. Okay, we have the third program for today is from Manhattan Area Technical College. This is for an electrician program with a Certificate B of 34 credit hours and an Associate of Applied Science of 61 credit hours. Within this program, they have incorporated 2 work experience courses that are required, and multiple business and industry partners are committed to that capacity. This is an aligned program, and Manhattan Area Tech has indicated they intend to meet that program alignment. They explained that while this program has been requested from their regional industry partners for some time, they felt that they were now able to launch this program due to the opening of their new building and having that space and infrastructure needed for training, as well as being able to recruit qualified faculty that was needed. This is a high demand, high wage occupation. And again, we have the Kansas Department of Labor and Lightcast data provided. Manhattan Area Tech indicated that this was a program, or this was an occupation, pardon me, with 43 concentrators for 107 job openings on the most recent Perkins Local Needs Assessment for their area. We have 4 letters of support from the local business and industry committing to interviewing graduates for available positions, doing facility tours, providing donations and apprenticeships. We currently have 12 institutions offering this program based on the SIP code. And for academic year 2024, there were 152 graduates exiting and becoming employed versus 450 job postings over the last year in Lightcast. Manhattan Area Tech explained that they reached out to collaborate with Salina Area Technical College and Fort Hays Tech Northwest and Highland Community College. They are estimating the initial cost at $192,200 total. $100,000 of that would be for equipment. And I do believe that I've seen some folks, I see a whole group of folks in Jim's office, I believe, that we'd stand for questions.
We are here. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Manhattan Tech? Seeing none and hearing none, are we ready to make a motion to forward this on to the consent agenda for this full TEA meeting?
This Ray, so move.
Second, Natalie Clark.
Moved and seconded. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's the next agenda item?
The next agenda item is the Promise Act programs. And we have the request from all three institutions for these programs to become Promise eligible. So it would be medical assistant at Washburn Tech and then electrician at Manhattan Area Technical College. We would just slide the Promise Act request from WSU Tech along with their program. Medical assistant and electrician both fall under appropriate specified categories in legislation, and they are both high demand occupations, so they meet the requirements for Promise Act approval.
Do I have a motion for those two programs?
So moved, Natalie Clark.
Moved by Nat.
Second.
Second by Deb. Are there anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, great. We also have received Excel and CTE fee approval request from Washburn Tech, and that starts on page 12. We have provided there on page 14, there is the breakout summary of the various fees, the fee items, the description, and then the amounts. The total would be for $1,025.40 for the entirety of the program for those high school students. And then on page 15 of your agenda, we've also provided you the information on the other institutions that offer medical assistant and what the fees look like for their programs for high school students.
Any questions on this fee proposal? It's quite a range of fees. To me, the big difference seems to be textbooks and ebooks. Some people apparently are providing them and others are not. I take that to be correct, but maybe I'm wrong.
I would say that that's correct. They are, or however that is occurring, the students themselves are not having to pay for those specifically. And Highland Community College in their Cert B, it looks like they have neither textbooks or e-subscriptions. Most institutions, it appears, have one or the other. And then sometimes they have both. But yes, there is a wide range from, it looks like $232 for the program on up to over $1,700 in fees for the program.
Any other questions for Charmin? Do we have a motion to move this forward?
Yeah, that's Ray. So move.
Moved by Frederick, second,
Second, it's Deb.
separate by Deb. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And last but not least, we do have on your agenda there, starting on page 16, we have an issue paper very similar to what you saw in the full TEA, outlining the KSA 71-1802 definitions for tiered and non-tiered courses. And we've also provided some additional data for the committee as well. As the first time that the committee has discussed this issue, and I anticipate that we are going to have multiple discussions, I would say too that frankly, this is the first time that this circumstance has been addressed since 2015. So we already have a lot of documentation that we provided based on anticipating some of the questions based on the work that we did in 2015. I anticipate there will be additional questions and data that will need to be reviewed as well. And Natalie Clark also provided additional documentation today for the committee. As we talk through this process, I would say too that regardless of any other information that we may want to consider, we want to remain mindful that it is the activity that we're specifically working on here is to look at the individual courses and those competencies and comparing those to the attributes identified within that statute. So as I mentioned to the full TEA when we met, that we've been looking at every single course in the system. We were reviewing how every institution uses those courses, and we've been bringing those recommendations to the TEA to reassign those courses into the program-specific buckets. Good example, if an institution offers a welding course, and they don't use it in a welding program, they instead use it in their farm and ranch management program. We're assigning it to the farm and ranch management bucket. We're bringing these courses forward because based on their usage, we simply can't make a recommendation for them. And based on that usage, that is where we felt that it was necessary to take another look at the statute. So we can perhaps look at Intro to Business as a first example. If that would be the desire of the committee, we have provided on page 18 of the packet, you have the tiered to non-tiered decision tree. This takes the statute and moves those relevant elements and criteria into a decision tree process to step through one by one. And then additionally, we have also provided, it's actually at the end of your packet, it would start on page 21. We've provided some additional information about these courses to give a picture of what it is that we're seeing as far as the use of these courses and the reason why we're bringing this forward. So just an example to get us started, that very first course, you'll see there that you have on the left-hand side, you have each institution and the course ID and the course title. And this, we started with Introduction to Business. You'll notice that Coffeyville Community College calls it Fundamentals of Business. Fort Hays North Central calls it Business Concepts. But other than that, for the most part, it is pretty ubiquitous. It's Introduction to Business. And you'll see the credit hours, whether it's tiered or non-tiered. This happens to be tiered. This is a system-wide transfer course, so that KRSN number is the Kansas Regents specific number that is assigned to all of Intro to Business courses. Every institution, with the exception of Washburn Tech, participates in those system-wide transfer courses and has identified this particular course as a system-wide transfer course. More recently, over the last couple of years, the Academic Affairs Group has been working with all of the community colleges specifically on system-wide general education buckets. And of course, we have math and science and English. We also have bucket 7, which is the institutionally designated system-wide gen ed bucket. So highlighted there for you then in green are those institutions that have identified Introduction to Business as a system-wide general education course. And then next to that, we also have whether or not the institution uses an elective block in KEDS that indicates that all courses they offer are eligible in that elective block. So the elective block is one single elective block, and by indicating a yes to that question, what the institution has told the data system is that every single course they offer in the KEDS data system will count for credit towards the completion of that particular program. And any program that that is used in then means that any and every single course that they offer will count for credit towards the completion of that degree for their students. I thought that it may be useful to know those all eligible elective block names. You'll see there in red, we have many of them that are identified as general education, gen ed electives, free electives, electives or major all. And then on the final column are the elective blocks by name, which also include these courses. So you'll see, for instance, Colby Community College. I'm going to pick on them. They have Introduction to Business. They do participate in system-wide transfer. They have not identified Intro to Business as part of their institutionally designated system-wide gen ed. They do not have an all eligible elective block. Instead, they have created an elective block, 2 elective blocks, particularly technical studies electives, and then the electives for their Associate of Arts and Associate of Science and Associate of General Studies. So taking all of that into consideration, I also sent out today the core outcomes that are part of Introduction to Business. And I think we would pause here for questions and comments and see how we'd like to proceed as far as kind of looking at a side-by-side of the core outcomes and the decision tree.
So Sharman, I haven't gotten a chance to look over what you sent today. That it would be helpful to look at that. So I know the TEA made recommendations to not, if there needed to be cuts on Excel and CTE, that business would be one of those areas. But until the legislature acts on that, if we would change that and they would not make that cut, then these courses, of course, would not be available for tiered technical funding. Is that correct?
I think I might characterize that slightly differently. The way that I have interpreted what the TEA is recommending is that we prioritize the Excel and CTE funding based on the Promise Act areas. By virtue of that, that would then indicate that there are certain programs that would no longer be eligible for the Excel and CTE funding. And that is separate from the course review that we would be doing here. It was my understanding, I believe that, and again, we have several of you on here, so you guys can correct me, but that the TEA was making that recommendation as a procedural and policy work for Excel and CTE, frankly, regardless of what the legislature may or may not adjust and require.
And then I remember some comment if that could be changed from year to year, but if they were moved from tiered to non-tiered, it could not be changed. Is that correct?
We would not move courses from tiered to non-tiered status and then back again to tiered status. Similarly, we would not move non-tiered courses to tiered status and back and forth. It is to be specifically driven by and adhering to the criteria in the statute.
I guess from the secondary perspective, I would have a concern. The introduction to business and the principles of marketing are very common articulated credit for our CTE courses. And students, it's something that if they go on, it's something can be used in the different business areas and their core courses and our pathways.
And they would still remain courses in university programs. However, we cannot violate the law. The law says if a course is deemed general education, which the institutions have designated those, we really have no option. We can't violate the law.
So there aren't any institutions then that use these as technical courses currently at all?
All of them are currently technical, but now we have to look at applying the course, now that we know this, to the law and saying which way does it fall.
So perhaps I need more side-by-side instruction after what Charmin sent today.
Well, and all that I added to the data that you supplied was the decision tree, which we had already supplied. I anticipated a lot of questions before we would get very far into this, so I had not previously provided the core outcomes for these courses. But I did provide the individual core outcomes for the Introduction to Business course, and I am not sure. Randy, am I able to share or take over the sharing? I may not be able to here. But even if we can't right now, what I would anticipate, like I said, is that as we kind of go through these, the other two courses that we very quickly identified, the Introduction to Management and the Introduction to Marketing, were simply courses that, based on their usage, we cannot make a recommendation on a program that they are part of. They are part of technical programs. They're part of automotive tech and cosmetology, and they're part of transfer degrees as well. They are part of such a wide variety of programs that when we look at the statute, and Randy, I think you stopped sharing thinking that I was going to share. Let me see if I can do it. All right, hopefully that's working. I hope. So in this case, what we are seeing in the usage, like I said, multiple programs, a wide variety of programs and disciplines. So these are in the healthcare discipline, they're in the business discipline, they're in transportation, they're in all of the disciplines actually being used as general education. So like I said, the main activity would be to review the statute, which, like I said, we have the decision tree, and then next to that, be looking at the core outcomes that are for that particular course. And in this case, the core outcomes that are used for introduction to business, these are from the system-wide transfer. So it's also important to note that institutions may certainly add outcomes to these courses, but these are the benchmark, the bottom line. Everyone's agreed that because they're doing this for system-wide transfer, that everybody will teach to these core outcomes. So as you look at the identify and define, we're looking at accounting, finance, marketing, management, leadership, supply chain operations. From those core outcomes, I believe that one of the reasons why institutions are using this course as a general education course is because it does seem to hit upon so many different program areas and disciplines. And now I need to hush because I'm sure somebody's got questions.
So today you're asking us to, the recommendation is just to allow you to resume this process, determining whether they're tiered or non-tiered. Is that correct?
And to allow, so this would actually be a review process that the Program and Curriculum Committee would undertake. So it would not just be staff looking at this. We would walk through these courses as we identify them during our process to say, we have another course. We believe that we need to take a look at the statute and the core outcomes and perhaps make a recommendation for change with the TEA, or perhaps not, depending on what the Program and Curriculum Committee determines.
Any other questions for Sharman?
Is this time sensitive, Sharman?
Well, I feel like as we have been looking through these courses that we've got quite a few that I think we're going to want to look at. The timing of it is similar to what we've discussed with the changes for Excel and CTE and the Promise Act. We would want to make sure that we are providing notice that changes are being made. We would also need to take it to the TEA. So I don't know that I would necessarily put a timeline of here's a hard sunset by which time we must have X number of courses reviewed or something like that. But it is certainly something that we want to begin addressing this year and work through that process, because as somebody who was part of the discussions back in 2015, it does take the committee some discussion time to work through these. April, I don't know if you would have something to add timeline wise, but
so there are probably going to be rounds of courses. These aren't the only ones. There are some other ones that have popped up on the system-wide transfer that are also institutionally designated as Gen Ed, but these are a first round that we could get going on, deal with the others as they come. And actually, to add more to that, the colleges would need to know early enough so that they don't enroll students in them for next year. So there is some kind of pressure for that to happen.
well, and to just add on to that, so that institutions don't enroll students for next year under the assumptions that it would be covered under the Excel and CTE funding. As I mentioned in the TEA meeting, I don't see a single institution ever not offering, for instance, Intro to Business. They're not going to stop offering that. If the course is non-tiered, it would still be available. It would still be available to high school students. The institutions, the community and technical colleges would still receive funding. It's just the non-tiered funding instead of the tiered funding. And there are a number of institutions that have made some strides in offering courses for free to some of their high school students or to some of their post-secondary students in their county or what have you. So courses may certainly be candidates for that.
So you're saying that if we're going to talk about enrollment and all, that this needs to happen between now and our March meeting, the curriculum meeting, so that it can go to the board in March? Is that what you're saying?
If the if we wanted these courses to become designated as non-tiered, effective for the next academic year, then yes.
Otherwise, that we work through the process and we're a year away from making that determination.
That may be the case, certainly for some of those, yes. And one of my main questions for you all is, based on this little bit of discussion and the information that you've seen so far, what other information would we want or need to know in order to, like I said, there are a lot of considerations out there. There are a lot of people affected and so forth. But at the end of the day, what we're really looking at is a statute that provides those descriptors for tiered and non-tiered courses and evaluating whether or not those courses seem to fit one or the other.
Other members of the committee, my lack of experience with this committee is showing up in this agenda item. So I don't know what you all want to do. Do you want to allow them to resume, or you want to wait?
Well, this Ray, I'm not really in favor of waiting. My only, I think, reservation is the fact that we don't have our committee chair or vice chair here to weigh in on this, because they're the ones that, I mean, going to carry a lot of this.
That's exactly where I'm at, because I usually don't chair this committee.
Well, I'm always in favor of giving more work to Mike Bean. I'm just a little worried about Cindy. So, but it's not my intent to slow the process. And if, I didn't get any impression, I will say, from our TA meeting, hesitation, maybe there was hesitation on Mike's part or Cindy's part, but yet they are still not part of this discussion today. I don't know. What do you think, April?
It is your guys' call. We can talk about it next time. We could take it forward to the full TEA to discuss in March. It's completely up to you guys.
If I may offer a thought, because Member Bean and others are not at this meeting, but certainly will be at the full meeting, and we're hearing, I believe, from Ms. Chambers that this may be a bit time sensitive, or at least something that we want to begin having discussion about. Is there any, I guess, concern with having the discussion with the full group? Greater and more opinion in regards to this, but it also allows things to move forward. If there's comfort with that.
I would be comfortable with that, but
sounded like a motion to me.
I move we move this forward.
Is there a second?
Or David has it, whoever.
Moved and seconded. Is there any opposition?
I'll oppose.
You're opposed? Okay. Any others? All right, motion passes. We'll move it forward to the full TEA.
And I would just add that what we can also include there for the full TEA are the core outcomes for all three of the courses, so that we can share that and have that discussion as well.
I think that's helpful, and also I think for Vice President White, the legal piece in terms of what we are required to do and why is a helpful framework, I think, to begin a discussion. So we all keep that in mind. If there is a framework that you think we need to be keeping in mind, and then having a broader discussion with everybody there. I appreciate all the work. I know I was quiet on this one, but I appreciate all the work you all are doing and the guidance. And great job leading the meeting. Is this the last item?
Think
Can I
so.
ask one thing? Natalie, you opposed. Can you tell us why?
Yes, I would like to look. So if I understand correctly, the law, nothing's been done for 10 years on it currently. And so coming today, I guess I wasn't prepared to start going through the courses, or perhaps a few weeks following. Several years ago, after the Governor's Education Council, several of the SIP codes in the business programs were removed, so there weren't very many offered. I don't know the historical perspective of, is that why they're offered in these other programs?
You have two things going on, Natalie. The state law we have to follow. It defines both a technical program and a technical course. So programs were removed. One of the big issues of it being a technical program in the state is if it requires a bachelor's degree or not. If it does, it is not a technical program. It doesn't mean courses won't transfer. It doesn't mean it doesn't fall in a certain cluster. It means in our world, it does not receive that funding. It can in yours, but it doesn't have to be forced in ours. Then a program is made up of both non-tiered and tiered courses. So there's a mix of everything.
So the urgency, if we haven't done it in 10 years, doing it the next, that's what I was trying to understand. I'm no way saying we should break the law. I'm a rule follower. I'd just like a little bit more understanding, and because there are multiple jobs that don't require a four-year degree, and looking at all of the labor market data and some of the Kaufman data that's been presented to some of the schools.
And I would say that the system-wide gen ed is new. Now that we are aware, it's our duty to follow the law.
So the system-wide gen ed is new as compared to, can you give me more clarification on new, I mean, as far as the change in that?
We can send you the link that
Okay.
explains each institution and their gen ed.
That'd be
Well,
great.
and I would just add the biggest reason why this is coming back up is because in 2023 we started re-reviewing courses to determine if they were actually in the program specific bucket where they needed to be. There was a period of time where the system was assigning courses versus a human taking a look at it. And so what that led to, frankly, is an assumption. One of the first ones that we worked on was pharmacology. And there was originally an assumption that pharmacology courses were always part of the nursing programs. And as things have changed over the years, come to find out that medical assistant includes pharmacology courses. We also have dental hygiene, dental assistant often include pharmacology courses. So as we have gone through that process, most courses are pretty easy to determine. We look at how the institution is using it and say, oh, this is a respiratory therapy course. These particular courses are some of the first ones that we identified that based on their usage, they simply do not fall into an occupationally specific category. And that raised the red flag of that's part of our statute to determine tiered and non-tiered. And therefore, it requires, instead of just staff coming back to say this course should not be tiered anymore. It needs to move to non-tiered, that we need to do that as a group and review the statute, because we all, to your point about being a rule follower, we're all going to have to answer for it. So, oh, you're on mute, Natalie.
So that would be welcome. If you could send that, if that's a change or the urgency from 10 years ago to now.
Right. The review that we're currently doing of all of those courses, we brought, I think it was 545 or so in August to have the TEA approve moving them from one bucket to the other, because we've identified the program specific bucket that they're used in.
And this one is bucket 7, system-wide gen ed bucket.
Well, the system-wide gen ed bucket is part of the system-wide gen ed package that the that Academic Affairs specifically has been working on. And I'm going to, in the meantime, just quickly copy into the chat the link for where that is. So you all may also remember that we've talked at different times about the first 15 general education, looking for that to be free to students, not necessarily free to students. That's the best way to say that. And in the case of this, the system-wide general education, there was a desire to make sure that we need to make sure that students can transfer courses and not have to retake general education courses that they've already taken, and that there's been that agreement that's very similar to system-wide transfer, but it's a little bit more nuanced, and I am by no means an expert. So we can also provide information on that, and perhaps even have Academic Affairs speak to what they're doing with the system-wide general education. But this particular issue of, we'll just stick with introduction to business, being able to assign introduction to business to an occupationally specific program is impossible, because it is used in, I would be hard pressed to come up with a program that it's not being utilized in, which then calls into question, we need to look at the statute and make sure that it has not started to meet the definition of a non-tiered course instead.
And principles of marketing would be the same, since they're, I appreciate the clarification. If you would send any information, and I have that also.
Okay. Next meeting is March 12th. And if there's no other business, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.